everyone, and welcome to the Dad Den Uncut. My name is Matt. I am the creator, owner, operator of the Dad Den brand and pages here. So thanks for tuning in again this week. This week we're on episode 6? 6? I don't know. Every week I feel like I never know what episode we're on. All these weeks are blending together here. So I'm off of work for still another couple weeks, finishing up the rest of my parent leave my parent leave until for when Gracie was born. So these days I've been off of work, been trying to get stuff done, obviously around the house, spend time with the kids, and my wife going back to work. So a lot of things kind of happening all at once. But these days are just like morphing together. I've had to ask my wife probably 4 times this week what day of the week it was. These are just morphing together there. But pretty big topic to talk about this week. So I think this is a big topic that a lot of people struggle with. I struggled with it. I still struggle with it sometimes. It's conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is something that can be used in probably every single aspect of your life. You can find some way, shape, or form to figure out, how to use this to help situations you're in, whether it be at home with your spouse, with your children, in the workplace, anywhere, out at the grocery store, and a problem arises. Conflict's everywhere. It's just the nature of society. You're not going to get rid of it. So some things that I've learned is really what I want to talk about here. I actually took a class on conflict resolution, which a lot of this information is actually coming from. So it was a pretty nice class to take. I really enjoyed it. But I mean, let's kind of go back a few years here. So everyone by now, I'm sure, knows about Matt's downward spiral of what I put myself through. I'm completely responsible for it. What I put myself through. A big portion of that, besides just the negative and the bad mindset that I was in, was my failure to be able to correctly resolve conflict, to recognize it, to recognize that there was a conflict, and how to move on forward with it in a productive way. So I used to think about conflict, and the way I looked at conflict was the best way to deal with conflict is to avoid it, right? So I did something wrong. I knew I did something wrong. My wife called me out on doing something wrong. I would either deny or walk away or not talk about it. I didn't want to deal with the conflict. Or you start to see an argument happening and your first instinct is, I'm sure a lot of people do it, it's all right, you're right, I'm sorry, it's done and over with. Argument's over, and you're 30 seconds into this. Okay, you're saying you're sorry, you're saying you're wrong, but you didn't really do anything to kind of resolve what the whole issue is. Right? You're not talking about it. Now, this episode is not about sitting there and talking to your significant other or talking to your child to resolve the conflict. That's not necessarily the whole thing of this. I guess that's part of it, because you do have to talk to be able to kind of accomplish what we're talking about here. But I'm not talking about, communication. That's going to be a different subject. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, my biggest flaw for a very long time was I avoided conflict. Conflict was bad. All conflict was bad no matter what. Through, following others that are very good at resolving conflict, and through books I've read, the class that I took, I look at conflict now more as production, right? So you can look at it from a money standpoint. You can look at it from a overall growth standpoint in yourself, an overall growth standpoint in your relationship with whoever, wife, child, family member, whoever. That's the way that I'm now looking at it because of these things that I've learned, the classes that I've taken. But this production from conflict only comes when handled correctly, right? And when you handle conflict correctly, what are some of the positive things that come out of that? I mean, one of them is just creativity. If you have person A and person B have differing views, and they're sitting there butting heads, and then they collaborate and put their minds together to come up with one common, better solution that's productive. And you're forcing, because of that conflict, you're forcing these two individuals to A, work together, and also B, be more creative together. So you're boosting creativity, you're boosting productivity, because now your end product is a lot better than where you started with. If you just went with person A's idea or person B's idea solo and didn't have that conflict at all, hindsight's 2020, but you could have been in a worse situation, I guess, is the short of it here. So you need to find new ways to find common ground. And that's the good part of conflict. Again, I can't stress this enough. Handling conflict correctly. Conflict handled incorrectly is going to result in a big blow-up fight, or one person walking away, mean or hurtful things being said to the other one. It turns into an argument. It's no longer a conflict. It's no longer resolving conflict. It's an argument, which is not productive whatsoever. And when I talk about productive, I want everyone to understand, when I talk about productive, it's in every means. Productive as in productive money-wise, business-wise. I'm being productive by growing myself. I'm being productive by growing my relationships. So that's, every single time I say productive on that, that's what I am referring to here, right? Now, from a personal standpoint, when you learn better conflict resolution, you are learning better to control yourself. You are growing as a person because you are allowing yourself to take a step back, clear your mind, open up, and be open to something different or new. And there's different styles of this here, of conflict resolution. So something from a sense of, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard these terms. So you have like competing, you have avoiding, which is what I did for a very long time. You have just compromising, you have accommodating, and then you have collaborating. So collaborating, that's your moneymaker right there. That's what you want to do, is collaborate. And we'll go into a couple of these a little bit more deeper here. But you do really have to learn personally to control yourself, control your mind, so you do properly recognize the conflict and you properly manage this conflict. So let's break down some of these concepts here. So you want to look at this kind of like a chart. If we could break this down here, I'll draw it out for you guys, see if we can see it. So for everyone that's just listening, because by the way, if everyone's watching this on YouTube right now, this is going to be the first episode that I'm putting out on other media platforms. So there are going to be some listeners right now that can't necessarily see what I'm doing on camera. They're just listening. If you guys do want to see the actual video portion of this, head right over to my YouTube page. It's just the Dad Den. You can go right to the website to www.thedadden.com. So anyway, so you want to look at this here as a big chart. Probably should have had this all written down ahead of time. But basically on your y-axis, you have your assertive and your unassertive. I hope everyone knows what assertive means, because I don't. I'm just kidding. And then you have on your x-axis, you have cooperation. So uncooperative, cooperative. Kind of like, you see it, kind of like that. Sorry for the handwriting there. So look at it from this chart. And every single person, either naturally or as they've built up good conflict resolution, is going to fit somewhere in this chart, right? Whether they're a very assertive person, they're the competitors, the people that always want to win no matter what. They're going to find in the end of the day, they're not happy unless they won. You have your unassertive that are going to be kind of the avoiders, the people that step back. Okay, yep, you go ahead, you do your thing. I don't want to deal with the conversation or the argument. I don't want to have to deal with that. So we're going to avoid it. That's your assertive, unassertive here. And then you have, of course, cooperative, uncooperative, willing to work with others, not willing to work with others, and so on. So as we get down to this a little bit more, we'll go from kind of bottom to top here. So you have your avoiding. Your avoiding is your lose-lose situation. No one is winning at that point because you're not getting common ground at all. Person A and B, if they were told, okay, you guys have two ideas, I need you to come together and come up with one solid common ground idea, and that's what we're going to go with. They just avoided the whole situation, we'll call it conflict. They didn't come up with any end product at all. No person won in that. The company didn't win, person A didn't win, person B didn't win. That's not productive. That's not helping anyone in that situation. You avoiding that conflict is not helping yourself. It's not helping the other person. It's not, sure, it made the next 10 minutes maybe less stressful for you, but the next week's going to be more stressful for you because your boss is breathing down your neck because you don't have any results for him. That's not helpful whatsoever. So anyway, you have your avoiding, and then on the other side of this here, you have accommodating. Now, accommodating is going to be your lose-win, right? Someone's going to end up, I'll show you what I got so far. So accommodating is going to be your lose-win. Someone's going to lose, someone's going to win. And the way that's going to happen is because the person that is very unassertive but wants to be cooperative is just going to take a step back and say, I don't want to deal with this. Let's just go with your idea. Okay, so person A just won. They get to go with their idea. Person B loses because their idea is scrapped. Their idea wasn't even mentioned at all. So that's your accommodating. That's a lose-win. In the end of the day, you still don't have production or creativity. It's waving the white flag, right? So yeah, it might make things temporarily less stressful, but again, you're still in the same situation where that product might not have been the very best idea. So now you have your boss breathing down your neck, making your work life more stressful. Put this into relationships here. Your wife says, let's go buy a new fridge. Well, you're sitting there in the back of your mind. We have a lot of bills coming up. I don't know if we can afford the fridge. Our fridge right now is just managing. I think we can get by with it. But you know what? You don't want the fight, so you just take a step back and you go to Lowe's and you get a new fridge. $2,500 down the drain, right? Sure, for the temporary, your wife just won that conflict. You lost because you took a step back and you didn't want to deal with the fight, so you just went and did what she said, right? It's the whole I joke about this saying a lot, but it's the whole, my wife wanted a cat, I didn't want a cat, so we compromised and we got a cat. So kind of what it is. You didn't want to deal with the fight, so you just went and got a cat. But again, I mean, you're not really getting that productive win-win. Someone's still losing in this point. And in the end, you're both going to end up losing because you guys are broke because you just spent too much money on a fridge when you didn't really need one right now. So, anyway, so moving on up here, you have right smack dab in the middle is your compromise. So, compromise is not a win-win. So compromise is going to be you're winning some and you're losing some. Again, this is not your ideal. You came up with a nice brand new creative end piece product to this conflict. Basically, person A said, "Okay, I like my idea better. Your idea is kind of the same. So we'll meet 50-50. I'll take this piece out of mine and you take this piece out of yours. We'll put them together and that's what it is." Well, that's not really creative. You just took some pieces apart, put them back together, and in the end, it's still your half-assed product. So that's your compromise. There's so many people out there that think compromising is going to be your best. Right? I'm going to give a little to take a little, right? It's your give and take. I'm going to take a step back in order for them to take a step forward, and they'll do the same and vice versa. Well, if I'm taking a step back for them to take a step forward, and they're taking a step back for me to take a step forward, we're still at the same starting point. You're not moving forward. So compromise is okay for, I mean, I don't know. It's a cop-out. It's a way to say, okay, we need to get this done. I don't want to be here for the next 8 hours and spend my entire shift doing it. So here, let's do this, this, and this. Boom. 5 minutes, conversation's done, over with. You're good to go. Again, no one's really winning on that. Back to the refrigerator situation with you and your relationship. Wife wants a new fridge. You don't want a new fridge. Your fridge right now is still manageable. It's serviceable. It's something you can still use. Well, okay. So you compromise and say, okay, fine. We'll get a new fridge right now, but we'll go and get the cheaper fridge right now. The wife says, okay, fine, we'll get it, but just as temporary to get us by. So now you just got rid of a working fridge for a newer fridge, but it's not the fridge you actually wanted. Win some, lose some. I hope everyone's kind of following me on this here. And I know this podcast and this episode might not be the most exciting one, but I think it's something that people really need to stop and listen to, because there are a lot of applications on this in your everyday life. If you learn how to do this, and I said this earlier, if you learn how to properly manage conflict, your life overall will get better. It will be less stressful overall. Sure, you might have certain moments of being uncomfortable, but you're gonna move forward, right? When I first got hired in the sales department, the manager that hired me told me one thing about being in a sales position. He said, as a sales representative, as a salesman, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. What he meant by that is that there are going to be a lot of situations throughout most of my day, actually, of what I've learned from being there for a while. But there are going to be situations throughout my day and part of my job where, in order to be able to move forward and, in this particular case, get a sale or at least get an answer out of someone, I'm going to have to put myself into an uncomfortable position to be able to progress and move forward and either get the sale or be able to move on. It's just how it is, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being vulnerable. When you put yourself in a vulnerable situation, that's not a weakness. That's strength. Think about, I use an example that Sean Whalen used in his book that I read, How to Make Shit Happen. So think about someone that has to go give a speech that has severe fear of public speaking. What do they say 99.9% of the time when they finish that speech and they come off the stage? I did it. They feel great. Endorphins are going. They just moved forward. They progressed. I know that doesn't necessarily have to do too much with conflict resolution, but, back to be willing to put yourself in a vulnerable or an uncomfortable situation, such as a conflict, to be able to come up with a better end result. That's kind of the moral of that story here. All right. So moving on, here's what we got so far on our little preschool drawing here. I don't know if everyone can see that. Moving forward on this. So now we're moving up on the chart on this. And remember what I said in this, the higher you get, the more assertive we're getting. So now we're getting to your competing style, right? This is your win-lose. You're competing is you're going to have person A and person B taking both of their ideas, not willing to change it whatsoever, and they're going to come up and say, this is why we need to do this, my idea, and person B is going to be sitting there and selling their idea. And the best current plan wins. You're not coming up with the best plan, you're picking the better of two evils, essentially. Pick your poison on this. You're picking the best pitch. So one person's going to win the game, the other person's going to lose. That's your competing style. You're going to have two assertive people going head to head. They're going to be uncooperative, unwilling to work together. So they're just going to sit there and go head to head to see which one's going to win the pitch, right? And I know I keep on applying this more to the business sense, but this is, again, related to your home life here. I'll keep on bringing up the buying a new refrigerator situation. I'm sure there probably is better examples out there, but that's just came to my mind on this. But the refrigerator situation is two people are going to sit there, dig their heels in, and stand their ground, and they're not going to budge. So the wife's going to sit there and say, no, we're going to go and buy a new fridge right now, and here's why. Husband's going to sit there and say, no, we're not going to buy a new fridge. Ours works fine. End of story. Okay. Someone's going to end up winning in that point. Either the husband's going to win, and they're not going to get one at all, and then the wife's going to be pissed off, and they're not going to talk for whatever the rest of the night, rest of the week, however long one of them wants to hold a grudge, and so on. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, there's going to be hurt feelings, and you're not getting the best overall outcome. So let's talk about your win-win. This is where you want to be. This is where I said before, this is your moneymaker. This is your collaboration. So collaborate. Collaborate is where the two of them come together, work together, and say, scrap these two ideas, screw them, let's work together, put our heads together, and find something better. Let's find the best possible outcome and solution to what we're dealing with here. Husband and wife, back to the refrigerator on this. They come together and they say, you know what? In the end of the day, yeah, it would be really nice to have one of those brand new Samsung fridges that have the touch screen and they tell you, they talk back to you and all this stuff, on and on and on. But they're a lot of money. I don't want to go and spend that much money right now when we have a lot of debt. So why don't we do this? Let's go ahead and both of us, every single week, we put $100 each into a separate account. And over the next 6 months or a year, once we've hit our goal, Let's go ahead and take that and let's go get the fridge we actually want. And by then, the current fridge will be done and it'll probably not be working by then. And we can scrap that and we'll go and get the brand new one with the money that we saved. We're not putting ourselves in more debt. We're saving up some money. We're making that goal. That's going to be your win-win. The wife's happy because she knows now I'm going to get the fridge I want. I'm going to get the fridge. At least I have a time frame. And we're both going to contribute into this and so on. The husband's happy because he's not going and dropping, or they are not going and dropping a bunch of money that they don't have right now when they have other debts and other stresses going on. And while they still have a current refrigerator that is, again, manageable. There's your win-win. They're both getting where they wanted to on this. Right? And there's a very fine line between collaborating and compromising. But collaborating, again, is going to be where you get the better overall outcome. Remember on that refrigerator example where the compromise was, okay, we'll go get a new fridge, but we're going to get a cheaper one that's not as fancy and not as new or not as good. That was the compromise. The collaboration is we're going to get the fridge we actually want, but we're going to put some money aside and we're going to get it in X amount of time. That's your collaboration. Apply this to your everyday lives, right? We'll show you the chart one more time here. Maybe if I'm feeling frisky tonight, I'll actually type this up and make it look nice. No guarantees on that. It is Wednesday at 9 o'clock at night. I have to, after this is recorded, go in, set up my new account with the other media outlet. I'm between two right now. I haven't decided which one I'm using. So I don't know if I'm going to have the time or motivation to go and write up a nice fancy looking chart for you guys. So if someone would like that chart, message me or email me, because if someone actually legitimately wants a copy of that, I can write one up. I will make one up if someone wants one, and I'll send you over a PDF of it. So yeah, definitely let me know on that if someone actually wants a copy of this. But yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science. It really isn't. This is something that you can apply every single aspect of your life. And I promise you, if you stop avoiding, if you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, at least for a short amount of time, if you are willing to become more collaborative, with your wife, with your business partner, with your team at work, with your children, kids, that's an interesting one to apply this to, is kids. Yeah. Collaborative with gotta collaborate with a 4-year-old. I want an ice cream right now. How do you collaborate and put your heads together and say, you know what, not ice cream right now. Let's do a popsicle in 1 hour. I think children might be the one exception to this rule. You might have to compromise a little bit more. That's a harder one. You know what? I'm actually going to follow up with everyone on this for the children part of conflict resolution. Now, again, this whole site is just about life in general. It's not necessarily only about being a father. Being a father is a very big part of this page, but I'm going to talk about things to just hopefully help people in their everyday lives too. I'm going to follow up on the whole kid thing. That might be a little short video that I put out, so everyone stay tuned for that. That's going to be about it. I hope everyone kind of got the message on this one here. I hope this helps some people. I know when I first took the class for conflict resolution, I went in thinking like nothing of it. I didn't really know what I was getting into. And then it wasn't a super long class. It was one class itself. We were in there for like 2 or 3 hours, really good conversation. And I came out, I don't want to say enlightened, but I came out with some really good ideas. It inspired me enough to make a whole podcast episode, which I'm now realizing is at 30 minutes long. So I didn't realize that. Sorry, everyone. This one's stretched out a bit, but it's from all my colorful drawing. But Yeah. So everyone, go ahead, apply this to your own lives. Give me some feedback on this too. What you think about these different styles. If you agree with them, if you disagree with them, shoot me a message or comment on these. I'd like to chat with some people. If you think there's a better way to do this or anything, let me know. We'll talk about conflict resolution. We'll collaborate. All right. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in this week to the Dad Den Uncut. Again, once again, my name is Matt. I appreciate y'all, and take care. See you.